Hi, this is Lauren, and in this video I will be showing you how to easily set up power auras. So just to begin, let's just type /POWA and bring up the power auras menu. And as you can see, I already have a couple of my own auras set up, but just let's assume that you have a blank slate and we can just start something new. So let's just go ahead and click new, and what this brings up right here is the editor. And so the top portion of the editor right here is pretty much where you can customize the look and feel of what's going to be showing right here. And the bottom portion is where you're going to specify what kind of a spell is it, whether it's buff, debuff, cooldown, proc, whatever. And then you can also customize when it shows and when it doesn't. So let's just get started. I will be using serendipity as an example to show you how to set this up, and that's just a proc that occurs for Holy Priest whenever we cast Flash Heal and Binding Heal, and it's really useful to know when that's up and how long we have on it, because that's the proc that makes Prayer of Healing a very competitive spell for us. So let's just get started here. Up here you have the glow and the wow textures, and you can see that you just have a lot of options there, and so you can just pick whatever you like, whatever takes your fancy. And my personal preference for serendipity is this semicircle thingy that I know exists here. So if I can just, oh, there it is. Texture number 23. And as you browse through these textures, you can see how they're actually going to look here. Now on to colors, because it's all about looks. I'm going to pick a blue for this, because it kind of reminds me of serendipity. Serendipity is, you know, blue-greenish, so it's close enough. And you can also change the opacity, but I usually just leave it at 75. That's usually fine. And then we can also change the size, which I really will change. That's huge. To something down to, let's say, 45 here. Looks like a good size to me. And then we can mess around with the location. I like mine centered mostly, but I do prefer it a little bit on the lower half, so let's just push it down there a bit, and that should work very nicely. Alright, down to the nitty-gritty then. I am now in the activation tab, so why don't we click on the activation by menu, and you can see that we have really a bunch of options here. We have buffs, mana debuffs, and whatnot. So serendipity is actually a buff, so I'm going to go ahead and click buff. And in the next tab, you can just type the name of the spell. Serendipity. Spell it right? Yeah. Alright. Below that you have exact name and no case. I always just do exact name. I don't think it really makes a difference. These aren't terribly important things. However, the ones following them are kind of important depending on your playstyle. Serendipity, I just kind of have it set up right now just to show me whenever it does proc. So it happens that I'm usually in a party or a raid when it does proc, so I rarely just heal myself for giggles, but you can go ahead and check those if you like. You also have the option of having it show only when you're in combat, which is also a very useful thing. I think I would actually just go ahead and check that one at the very least. Now we can move on to customize the animation. And when the proc comes on, my preference is to have the beginning animation to be a zoom in, and the ending one to kind of fade out. There we go. You can just see how it is. And I would like the main animation, while it's actually active, to be the sort of pulsing thing right there. And you can see right here what it's going to look like. Perfect, very, very simple. And now we can move on to the following tab. And this pretty much just gives you the option of having a sound notification in addition to the visual cues as to when serendipity is procced. My personal playstyle doesn't really require sound, but if you like to have sound cues, that's fine. You have a huge menu here to choose from, right from leveling up sounds to all sorts of stuff. So, and you can also upload your own sound files to customize it further. The next tab is a little bit more important to me. It's the timer tab, and serendipity does last for a specific amount of time, and I need to know how much time I have on that proc. So it's rather important that I click the timer, and as you can see, that just kind of set off those numbers right there that are kind of going crazy right now, but we'll fix that. I do not need them to show to 100, so I uncheck that, and right now I pretty much have an option of messing around with their size if I want them super huge, or just, you know, normal human size. That works too. And then we can push it down a little to match the proc a little bit more right there. Just is very good right there. Perfect. So that just pretty much shows me how much time I have left before that proc runs out. And I can also mess around with the time texture. This is just the original default one, but if I want to get adventurous or creative, I can just go with that or with any of these. So yeah, it's all up to you. I'm just sticking with the default for now. Other thing is that serendipity actually does stack as a proc, so I'd like to know how many stacks of those I have. So I'm going to just click show right there, and there we go. We have yet another number that pops up there. And then we can move this down again, just very basic, customizing location, either above or below, maybe to the side a little bit. Pretty much wherever you think is convenient for you to see that number. That works for me right there, so I'm just going to leave it at that. And there you go. You have your serendipity proc right there. In the next part, I will be showing you how to make a power or a thingy for a spell cooldown, such as Circle of Healing or Prayer of Mending, which is also very, very useful to know when those are off cooldowns, because and especially Prayer of Mending, very, very good to cast those as soon as they're off cooldowns. Very, very efficient heals. So in the next part, that is what I will be showing you. Thank you.